Hello and welcome everybody to Music Man Studios drum phase correction / alignment video. What I've got here is a project. I'm going to try and make this as quick as I can, but what I've got here is a project that I'm about to start mixing. Here's the drums, and they sound like this. Alright, that's pretty banging, but they're a little bit out of phase because when I recorded the drums, I didn't do it properly. So all we're going to do, I'm just going to show you how to quickly phase correct all of your drum mics and inputs. So the setup for the kit is there's 2 mics on the kick, one on the top and the bottom of the snare, there's a hat, there's 2 toms, there's 2 overheads, there's a room, and then there's a verb mic. So the verb mic is like a special mic. It's a cinder block lined room that I have in my studio that makes a really cool reverb sound. And when you put a mic in there on Omni around the corner, it sounds like this. So pretty cool. There's obviously some frequencies I have to notch out of that, but here's the kit just dry mic'd. Okay, and then here's the kit with that verb mic. Okay, so that's what you're hearing there. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that all of our microphones are in phase with each other. So in this case, for this drum performance, the drummer starts out with this snare drum hit kind of all out in the open like this, which is going to be really advantageous for what we're trying to illustrate here. So in this case, for this song, I'm going to pick the snare drum to be the center of the kick drum mix, or the kit mix. And since he hit a snare all on his own like this, I can see where that snare drum hits each one of these microphones and how far off it is from the actual initial impact of the top snare drum mic here. So first thing I'm going to notice is that this snare drum hit goes down, okay, on this microphone here, the top snare mic. It goes down, okay, so that's the phase alignment that we're going to pay attention to. Now the bottom snare drum mic here is almost 180 degrees out of phase from the top snare drum mic. That's a problem. So the first thing we want to do is just invert that. So what you're going to do is highlight the whole event, go up to Audio Suite, go to Other, go to Invert, and it gives you this cool little window here. If you have this highlighted, you just hit render, and boom, it's flipped 180 degrees. So now, from this point, it's a little easier if you zoom in, you can tell that this sound that this bottom snare drum mic is capturing is a little bit delayed from when the actual snare drum started. So that just means that this mic was, that much farther away from the source. So all we're going to do is scoot it back. You can do that a couple of ways. I've got my multi-tool selected here, and if you go to the bottom of the waveform, you'll get the grabber tool. You can actually move it by clicking and dragging it with this grabber tool, or you can use the nudge function, which I've got up here. You can pick whatever meter you want. I've got it set to samples, and then 2 samples, 1 sample, something like that, because I'm doing some fine tuning on this part here. So all you got to do from that point is use your plus and minus on your number pad, and just hit minus, and it's moving it 2 samples at a time to get it back close to when it starts with the top snare drum mic. So now these are in phase. They're both in the correct phase, and they're both time delay adjusted. So now you can see from this point, if you just scoot down the rest of these tracks, you can see that this snare drum hit bled through the hat mic, the 2 tom mics. This was sooner because this was the rack tom. It was closer to the snare. This one was the floor tom. It was a little farther away. These are overheads, which are out of phase, which we'll get to in a second. This is a room mic, and then this was that verb mic, and that was way far away. So you can see the time delay difference there. We'll get to the kick drum mics in a second. So all I'm going to do is just the same process of nudging these back. This is the hat. It's pretty close. Move this out of the way. This is the tom. This is the rack tom. So now those are all pretty close. And then these, all we're going to do is invert them again. So boom, inverted, boom, inverted. And then you can, like I say, you can drag this with the grabber tool and get it pretty close. If you don't have the beginning of the event visible, you're kind of guessing. So just keep that in mind. So these are actually ended up being pretty close. So right around there. Right around now. Actually, now I'm going to switch my my nudge to 1 sample. There. So that took care of that. Go back to 2 here real quick. I think this one might want to come back a little bit. This one might want to come back a little bit. They're all pretty close. I mean, when you start talking about 1 or 2 samples difference, you're kind of nitpicking. So this one is the room mic. I'm just going to move it back, and that was pretty close. Right on. This reverb mic, I'm going to kind of eyeball it. Normally, that microphone behaves a little bit differently than the other ones, so it's not exactly a one-to-one type of relationship, but we're just going to start it right around the same time, even though sometimes you do actually want like a nice pre-decay on your reverb. Anyway, so now we've got everything all lined up, okay? All these microphones are all lined up, and they're all in the correct phase except for this, the kick drum mic. So I'm going to zoom out on my waveform, and I can see that the snare drum, as it bleeds through this kick drum mic, is actually out of phase with the rest of them, and this one is as well. You can see it goes up there. It's just really hard to see. So if we render that from our invert audio suite, then we can bring this back. So now the snare drum bleed through that kick drum mic is in time with the actual snare drum. Now this is going to get tricky here, because there's a kick drum here microphone that is picking up a snare hit that's not very audible. So the easiest way to do this is to just find a kick drum hit. Let me bring the zoom down on this. So now you can see that's the snare drum bleed, and it's kind of small, and it's even smaller down on this track. And these are the actual kick drum hits right here. So if you want to find that, right there's a good kick drum hit. Boom. Okay, now you can see these are out of phase. So I'm just going to invert this one as well and bring it back so that it is in phase with the kick drum hit. So these two kick drum microphones will be in phase with each other. That's pretty close. So now this kit altogether sounds like this. Right on. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please visit my YouTube channel and become a subscriber. Also visit my Facebook page, Music Man Studios, Music Man, M-A-N-N Studios on Facebook, and like the studio. Thanks so much. Talk to you guys later.